Hello, everybody. Todd here, all things archery and shooting, and I want to thank you and welcome you to my channel. If you haven't been here before, thanks for showing up and watching my channel for me. Okay, we just finished part 2 of my review on this Bear Kodiak Magnum. Okay, I did the range review. I've already uploaded that, so if you haven't watched that already, just pause this video now or stop it and roll back and watch part 2 and part 1. Most of my videos you see are done in 3 parts. I have part 1, which is unboxing and setup. Part 2 is usually range session, and part 3 is usually my final thoughts on the bow and whether I can recommend the bow or not, okay? So this is part 3. I said we just finished with the range session outside. The bow shot extremely well. My final thoughts on this bow is just, it's a Bear bow. How could you go wrong? It's an awesome bow. I mean, I had one of these bows years ago back in the 80s, and it was the brown one, the brown wood on it. And it's one of those bows I wish I would have never sold, but I did. Like anything else, I was in the military and deployed and not hunting that much and needed some money and things like that, so I sold it, which I wish I never would have done. And I finally got around to getting another one, and this one, I mean, it's a really good bow too, and I'm going to be giving this bow away pretty soon too. So stay tuned for that. There's a chance for you guys to win this bow from me. So toward the end of the video, I'll give information on how to win this bow. But let's go ahead and talk about my final thoughts. First off, it's a Bear bow. You can't go wrong with a Bear bow. They've been making bows for a long time. This bow's been in Bear's lineup since the early 60s. It hasn't changed much at all, okay? Except for the material it's made with. Like now they make it with future wood, okay? Which they've been making with future wood since the early 70s. This particular bow is a 1972 vintage, okay? It's a 45-pound bow at 52 inches, but actually the bow's only 44 pounds according to the weight behind the plate here. Bear always puts his actual weight of his bows behind here. What he would do, he'd always round up to the nearest 5. So it's a 44-pound bow. What this one is, he'd go to 45. If it was a 42-pound bow, he'd go to 40. It was all a marketing thing for Bear back in the day to help market, make it easier to market. So, but this bow's actually at my draw length, it pulls 20. At my 29.5-inch draw length, it pulls 40, almost like 49 pounds. So. It's a pretty good bow, great for hunting deer, especially in a tree stand or in a ground blind or stalking. The bow is, I mean, it shoots really well. It's very accurate for an old bow. The bow's almost 50 years old. There's 0 finger pinch on this bow. So, I'm nothing, I really can't complain. The bow it's a beautiful bow. The wood's gorgeous, the way it's laid out. It's just a really, really nice bow. So let's get to the rating of the bow now. As always, I rate my bows on 6 standards, okay? That is quality of the bow, specifications of the bow, okay, shootability of the bow, how well I can pick the bow up and shoot and get on target with it, the speed of the bow, how fast it launches arrows based on 10 grains per pound of draw weight and 12 grains per pound of draw weight for a hunting arrow, okay, and the quietness of the bow, all right, which how quiet the bow comes in factory. If it's quiet, it makes a lot of noise. And last but not least is the value of the bow. That's 6 things I rated on. Each of those are worth 10 points. For a maximum score of 60. That's how I judge this bow evenly compared to all the bows that I've done reviews on. If you see my other reviews, you've seen how I do this. So let's start with this bow. First, I'm going to talk about the quality. Well, it's a Bear bow. You really can't get much better quality than a Bear bow. I think this bow will hold up against some of the best handmade bows out there right now, and custom bow makers. To this day, even these bows are still made by hand at the Bear Archery Factory here in Gainesville, Florida, not too far from my house. They're hand sanded. I mean, they're still using the old presses that Bear developed back in the 40s and 50s, and for Christ's sake. And the old jigs and everything else. They still make it the old way. These bows are, I mean, they're very well made. They're 99% handmade, okay? They still hand write the weight on the bow like they did back in the day. It's not stamped or stenciled like that. So the quality of the bow is very good quality. You really can't go wrong with the quality of the bow. I mean, I've had several Bear bows, and I really haven't had any issue with the quality of a Bear bow. So for a Bear bow, we'll give it a 9 out of possible 10, okay? The reason I'm saying a 9 because I've never come across a perfect bow yet, but 9 out of 10 is pretty darn close. The specification of the bow. Let's talk about the specs of the bow. This bow on the handle here, if you see it, it says it's 45 pounds at 52-inch AMO. That's a 45-pound draw at 28 inches. Well, according to the actual weight of the bow, look behind the striker plate here, which Bear put all of his riser when he put the actual weight of the bow. Okay, this is 44 pounds. Now I checked it on my artillery machine. It is true, 44 pounds, right on the money. And at my drawing of 29.5 inches, it's pulling right at 49 pounds. Okay, bow doesn't stack at all. It doesn't do any of that. Like I said, it doesn't have any kind of finger pinch or anything. So it draws smooth and shoots smooth. Okay. So this being listed at 45, like I said, Bear did that for a marketing scheme, not for any other reason. Okay, so because of that one thing, I'm going to give it a 8 for specification because it's not really the true specs of what's on the handle here, okay? So that was a call Bear made for marketing, and I'm not going to question the man because he probably knew what he was doing. All right, second thing is shootability. Now the bow shoots extremely well. I was able to pick this bow up right away and get on target with it, and I was quite surprised. I used to have this bow years and years ago, and for some reason I think it was a lot harder to shoot back then. I used to get a lot of, I wasn't shooting properly, didn't have my skill down correctly or my shooting good, but I loved that bow. I ended up selling it eventually and got rid of it, which probably should never have done that. It was made of wood, not of future wood. It was made of real wood layers, okay? It was a beautiful bow, and I probably wish I never have sold it, but anyway. The bow shot really well. It doesn't stack at all. Even at my 29.5-inch draw, it doesn't stack. Doesn't have any finger pinch, okay? It's very accurate. I got a buddy of mine that's 6'7". We shoot together a lot. We hunt together a lot. And he likes a 62 to 66-inch bow normally, but I let him shoot this bow. And his draw is 31 inches, a really long draw, and he had no problem shooting this bow at all. He said there's very little finger pinch at my draw, but nothing I would be concerned about. He was really surprised how this short bow could actually shoot as well as it did with him. He tried to buy this one for me. I told him it's not for sale, so he's looking for one for himself. So that's just going to test the shootability and design of this bow, the way Fred Bear designed this bow. I mean, the wood on it's really nice. There's no sanding marks, no burrs on it. The blue accent is beautiful in there. I mean, everything about this bow is just gorgeous. So the shootability and the bow, I mean, it shoots like a dream. It really does. So I really like the shootability. So we'll give the shootability an 8 on the bow, okay? Only reason it's not higher is because it did have a little bit of bow shock to me when I was shooting it, okay? Like the bow would vibrate when I shot it. And I think that was because it's such a short draw length bow, a short ammo bow, and a lightweight bow. And it's launching big heavy arrows, it does have a little bit of shock and vibration to it. So because of that one reason, I'm going to give it 8. But I think once you put some Bear silencers on there and you put a couple other things on this bow, it would probably quiet right down and stop all that shake altogether. And that brings us to our next one, which is speed. The speed of this bow, even by today's standard, is pretty quick. It's comparable to most other bows I've tried. With an average of 10 grains per pound of draw weight from my draw length of 29.5 inches, which is 49 pounds, that's a 490 grain arrow. This bow is launching a 490 grain arrow at 178 feet per second on average, okay? All right? And at my 600 grain arrow, which is my hunting weight arrow, I use it on all my bows, I always use a 600 grain arrow, which is a hunting weight arrow. That's about 12.24 grains per pound of draw weight. This bow is shooting close to 160 feet per second on average, which is quite respectful for a bow, especially a bow as old as this one, okay? I mean, this bow, this bow's hardly ever been shot, but I think it'll probably be even faster now. But the bow it shoots really well, it's super fast. I was really surprised how fast a 50-year-old bow can shoot. So we're going to give it for speed, we'll give it an 8. It's not really the fastest, of course. You can think about like your Black Hunter, your Cano Cane. They're much better, much faster bows by 10 or 15 feet a second faster in some respects. But remember, that's using 21st century technology to build bows. This is built on mid to late 20th century technology, okay? So it says a lot about Bear's engineering, the way they built these bows. So we'll give it 8 for speed. Quietness, that's the only drawback I don't like about this bow is the quietness. The bow is loud when you shoot. It's got a distinct twang to it when you release the trigger, and and you hear the smacking of because it's so short, the smacking of the string against the bow limb. Now the way to fix that, of course, is you get some felt here and put on your lower bow limb, put some string silencers on there, and shoot a heavier arrow. But I mean, 600 grain arrow is pretty heavy. But I think doing that, maybe adding the stabilizer, if you're into that kind of thing, would definitely quiet this bow down quite a bit, probably eliminate all hand shock and almost all noise. So I plan on putting some silencers on here, putting some bow limb silencers on there. I'm not going to put a stabilizer, I don't use those, but I'm going to try it with that. I think it'll be a lot quieter. But as it is, it's quite loud. It definitely got a depth twang to it and a depth smacking sound to the string hitting the bottom limb, okay, and the top when it goes off. So for quiet, the only complaint I have is not as quiet, which I not expected super quiet. It is a shorter bow. I'm going to give it a 6, okay? Value of the bow. Let's talk about the value. This bow sold new, I looked it up, in 1972 for about $169, roughly. Between $160 and $169, depending on what kind of wood you got and things. Because they did have custom woods of this back in the day, too. And they also had custom heavyweight draws. You can get up to 70-pound draw in this bow back in the early 70s, which you can't do that now. But this bow was back then between $160 and $169, roughly what it sold for, okay? In today's money, that same $169 is almost $800 in today's money, okay? So if you figure I paid $200 for this bow from eBay, okay? This bow is basically a steal. So if you figure $200 in today's money compared to 74 money, it's about $15. So yeah, the value of the bow is definitely there for a 9, okay? So we'll give it a value of a 9, okay? So great value in these bows. All bear bows hold their value really well. I've not come across a bear bow that did not hold its value well, except maybe the fiberglass kid bows. But all their wood recurves and long bows always hold their value real well. Let's add all up. So now we've got all that added up. So we've got a total of 48 out of 60, which puts this bow in probably the top 5 bows that I've tested. So it's a very good quality bow. I can highly recommend this bow. If you get a chance, pick one up. You won't be dissatisfied with it. It's a beautiful bow. It shoots really good. It's probably the best bow you can get for like a tree stand or like a ground blind, okay? I do know they make a super Kodiak Magnum, which is even shorter, 48 inches. I've never tried that bow, but I am going to try to find one of those and do a review on it. I'd be curious how that bow shoots. But this 52-inch bow shoots like a dream. I recommend it, all right? Okay, well, that's pretty much what I said on my bear bow. If you got any comments, leave them down in the comments section for me, please. And I did tell you I would tell you how to win this bow. So I am going to be giving this bow away to one of my Patreon members. My Patreon is my paid channel. There'll be a link in the description for you. And the way that works, you pay a monthly fee. It's very minor. And then all that money that I get from that Patreon channel helps me buy these bows and equipment. I do pay for all this stuff in my own pocket. Nothing is sponsored here. It's all come in my own pocket. So everything, all these bows you see, and all these arrows, all that stuff you see, I pay for in my own pocket. So I set the Patreon channel mostly to help offset some of those and to kind of get the wife off my back about spending so much money on bow gear and hunting gear. But if you want to get a chance to win this bow, it's real simple. Log on to my Patreon channel. You select level 1, which I think is $3, level 2, which is $5, and I think level 3 is like $7 or $10. Log on, select one of the levels, become a Patreon member. Each one has different things that you get, rewards you get for going up higher. But the point I'm making is if you get a level 1, you'll get 1 entry into a drawing, which the drawing will be on November 5th, of this year. I'll be drawing the winner, and you got till October 30th to enter. If you go level 2, I'm going to give you 3 drawings, okay? If you go to level 3, I'm going to give you 5 entries, okay? So if you want to take a chance on winning this bow, head over to my Patreon channel, sign up, and then we'll get you into the drawing for it, all right? Also, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so, and also click that bell next to that subscription button, that way you can notify you of upcoming videos. I got a lot of cool videos coming out. I got my next review is going to be on a Bear Grizzly 1969 vintage bow I just got in. And going a little bit further in the future, I've got some trad vanes, AAE trad vanes, that we're going to be building some arrows on and shooting those head-to-head on feathers and see how they compare. I haven't seen too many comparisons on YouTube with them between the trad vanes and the feathers, so it should be interesting. Apparently these trad vanes, you can shoot them right off the shelf just like feathers, and it doesn't affect your flight, which I find hard to believe because they are plastic vanes. But we're going to build some arrows and find out if that's true. So look for that video too. Also, if you haven't, please also share with your friends and your coworkers and your hunters and your hunter buddies. Tell them about my channel. Share some of these videos with them. It helps me on my YouTube channel and my standings. I'd appreciate it. And please leave me comments. I try to answer all my comments. I really love reading comments from you guys, and I will always try to answer comments from you. Okay, good or bad, I don't care. I don't censor any of my comics, so if it's good or bad, I have no problem with it. You'll see, no issue there. Okay. Also, give me a thumbs up if you really like this video. All right, this has been Todd with All Things Archery and Shooting. Until next time, guys. Ciao.